Start, brother?
הוא עלה עכשיו. כן, כן, הוא עכשיו עלה.
Done. So let me just start by welcoming everybody and introducing myself. My name is Aviv. I'm the Vice President of International Relations and Business Development at the Federation of Israeli Chamber of Commerce. We're the oldest and biggest business organization in Israel. And a week ago, we have signed an MOU with CACIF. It was our first MOU signed in Gואטמלה. And we're very much excited to have this follow-up webinar today, showcasing Guatemala's economy and the business opportunities for Israeli companies. We had more than 100 Israeli companies and participants who have registered to this webinar today, and we all know about the Zoom fatigue, so we take it as a very big success that Guatemala has managed to attract so many people and so many companies. There's a lot of interesting companies here with us today. And the purpose of this webinar is not only to show the great friendship, both politically, culturally, etc., but also to take a step forward and say, okay, we know that there's a big wheel between the two sides, but now where is the money? Where is the business? How can we also create more business ventures between Israel and Guatemala? And that's the purpose of today. So we hope it's going to be very concise and very business-like. And I'm going to stop now because we have a lot of different speakers going to talk about this subject today. And the first and foremost, I would like to very honorably invite to talk, which is His Excellency Mr. Pedro Barolo. He's the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Guatemala. And the Honorable Minister is a well-known in leading of entrepreneur and economist. He is recognized for his contribution to various non-profit organizations. And thank you very much, His Excellency, for joining us today and saying the first remarks of today.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you all today. Let me introduce myself with a cup of the best coffee in the world, the Guatemalan coffee.
I agree.
Well, His Excellency, Mr. Matanya Cohen, Ambassador of the Israeli Embassy in Guatemala. Honorable Mr. Amir Shani, Vice President and Head of the International Committee Federation of Israel Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Marco Antonio Solares, International Committee Coordinator of CACIF. Mr. Gabriel Biguria, Member of the Board of Directors of Ahexport. Distinguished Mr. Josie Abadi, Chief Executive Officer of Tenlot. Distinguished business leaders, good morning. It is my privilege to address you this morning, afternoon, evening. As you may know, our bonds as nations have a meaningful history. We have shared interests towards the strengthening of our bilateral relations. In all regions, without exception, Guatemala's current foreign policy is based on the general government policy plan stated by our President, Dr. Alejandro Yamatei Faya. The main focus is to strengthen and empower our nation's position on international markets as a competitive country for trade and foreign investments. We, as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, are implementing a plan for commercial diplomacy, seeking Guatemala's contacts abroad. It is all being conducted by the Councilors of Commerce, Investment, and Tourism in strategic countries that share our same needs. These councilors are willing to seek new businesses and investment opportunities for our country. In addition, we are working together with the Ministry of Economy and the Guatemalan Institute of Tourism, joining efforts to enrich our business climate in the country. The State of Israel is a very important ally, friend, and partner. Our diplomatic relations date back to May 15th, 1948, And through these last 72 years, our added efforts allowed us to increase the exchange of commodities, national products, and services. Currently, our trade is based on commodities that sum up to a total value of $9,035,700 American dollars. In products like cardamom, ornamental plants, coffee, confectionery items, clothing items, and among others. At this moment, we are in the negotiation process of a free trade agreement, which we expect it will soon be taking effect. By this, we will be able to generate more trade opportunities and improve access to products in both countries, to improve and transform our public transport system, and to enhance technological development to join efforts on the globe's need for sustainable development. In terms of investment, Guatemala is considered the economic leader of Central America, allowing business community to invest and access attractive and affordable markets on the region. Our country has a qualified workforce, a very productive infrastructure, recognized in the Central America region, tax payment facilities, and recently, the public special economic development and functional zones were established, also a group of high-level professionals willing to join them in them with their investment process. Since 2006, a reciprocal investment promotion agreement is at hand. It gives the Israeli businessmen and investors the necessary tools and legal certainty to embrace new projects. Dear all, on behalf of the Minister and the President of Guatemala, Mr. President of Guatemala, Alejandro Yamatei Falla, please receive the most heartfelt welcome to our country that offers you huge opportunities in trade and investment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Minister of Foreign Affairs. And thank you very much for taking the time to open this webinar today with us. Our next speaker is the Israeli ambassador to Guatemala, His Excellency Mr. Netanyahu Cohen. He's the ambassador to Guatemala and a non-resident ambassador to Honduras since 2017. And I just must add that he's doing a great job in promoting all aspects of Israel and Guatemala, but especially the bilateral economic one. So, Mati, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Zeev, for the nice introduction, and my good friend, Foreign Minister Pedro Brolo of Guatemala, authorities from the Israeli Federation of Israeli Chamber of Commerce, and from CACIF, Ag Export, and most important, the participants. I see now 74 participants, the Israeli businessmen, because this event is for you. As was mentioned before, Israel and Guatemala are excellent friends for the last 72 years, but for the last two and a half years, and especially since Guatemala was the first country, and only after the United States, to move its embassy to Jerusalem, our relations have expanded much in a lot of fields, but we want to focus now on the economic and commercial field. As the minister mentioned, we are about to finish the negotiations of signing a free trade agreement between the two countries, and I don't have to explain to you, Israeli businessmen, the importance of an FTA between the two countries. I also want to thank the two gremiales, the two entities, the FICC and CACIF, the most important two entities, commercial and economic entities in Israel and in Guatemala, not for only signing last week an MOU, but for implementing it so fast and so efficiently. So, as the minister said, we have a bilateral trade that is relatively low, 35 million US dollars per year. I don't like these numbers. I want to duplicate and to triplicate them. And this is exactly what the purpose of this meeting. And when coronavirus is over, we will be happy here as an Israeli embassy in Guatemala to receive delegations from Israel, to send Guatemalan delegations to Israel to increase both commerce and investments here in Guatemala. So I would like to thank you all for your participation and wish all of us success in this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you. And also, I'd like to say a very good thank you for your team. You have a great team there. The embassy is doing a great job. And our next speaker is Mr. Amir Shani. Amir Shani is the VP and head of the International Committee here at the FICC. He's also the CEO of Amid Group, one of the leading forwarding companies in Israel. Among his various positions he holds, Mr. Shani serves as the chairman both of the Freight Forward Association and the Israeli Standard Institute. So Amir, please.
Thank you very much. His Excellency Minister of Foreign Affairs of Guatemala, Mr. Pedro, Israeli Ambassador to Guatemala, Mr. Matanya, partners and participate. Thank you very much for taking part in the important webinar to expose the Israeli company to the wonderful business opportunity Guatemala has to offer. I have to be sure that after the coronavirus, and I hope it will be as quick as possible, believe me, Zev and his department will offer you for your delegation coming to Israel good business opportunity to do as much as possible what you started already a week ago and what we started with the MOU, because the MOU is a paper, it's an important issue, but I'm sure we could do much, much more, as the ambassador mentioned before, because it's correct that the bilateral trade between our two countries is not more than $27.9 million, which does not reflect the true potential of business collaboration between Israel and Guatemala. The number or the numerous registration to this event by Israeli company reflect the great interest in Guatemala and the willingness to do business event during this difficult time. As one of the Israeli most supportive countries in Latin America, from back, as you mentioned, Ambassador, from 1948, it is our obligation to improve the trade figures and support the collaboration between our business community. I hope, and we hope, this webinar will be only the startup or the encourage more Israeli company to look at Guatemala as a target country of their activities in LATAM and benefit what Guatemala is to offer. I appreciate and thank you very much.
Thank you, Amir. And we indeed looking forward for this corona to end in order to maybe go to Guatemala and visit there. So that's one of our end games here. So our next speaker and our last on the greetings before we go right into business and do the presentation is Mr. Marco Antonio Solares. He's the member of the board of directors of CACIF, representing the Guatemala Sugar Producers Association, and the coordinator of CACIF's International Committee. Mr. Solares also serves as the corporate and international affairs manager of Asazuga. I hope I said it correctly. So, Marco, please.
Thank you, Seth. Good afternoon to everybody. It is an honor to participate in this first event organized by FICC as part of our recently signed document, July 15th. It's only been a week, that has helped and will help search for business opportunities between two great and sister nations, Israel and Guatemala. On behalf of the board of directors of CACIF and our president, Mr. Niels Leporowski, I want to thank FICC through his VP, Mr. Amir Shani, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Pedro Grolo, and Ambassador Netanya Cohen for being part of this event. But most of all, I want to thank the great amount of private sector participants, 74, that's a lot, okay, from Israel that have accepted this invitation. I also would like to take the opportunity to salute Mr. Josie Abadi, who has already been investing in our country through Tenlo Group for a couple of years. I am sure he can help you understand certain aspects of how Guatemala reacts and how Guatemala behaves in doing business. We at CACIF, and more specifically on the International Committee, are open and at your services for anything that we can do to help this initiative and broaden our national mutual investments in new businesses that will continue to strengthen our world-known brotherhood. Last but not least, to end, I would like to thank Seb and Rotten for everything that they have done in such short notice to get this wonderful thing, started and going. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Marco. And we thank you, and we thank CACIF. Really, it's a great pleasure to working with such a professional organization. And I don't mind getting the thanks, but as I mentioned before, when we send the MOU, it's actually Rotem was doing the heavy lifting. I'm just getting the credit here. So thank all this. I just want to thank again to all the speakers who have said their greeting remarks. And now I just want to introduce what we're going to have next. So we're going to have 4 wonderful speakers. We're going to have Gabriela is going to introduce CACIF. We're going to have Manuela is going to talk a little bit about what's the opportunities between Israel and Guatemala. Gabriela is going to talk about export from Guatemala. That's going to be very interesting as well. And we have Yossi Abadi, who's a businessman, Israeli businessman that works in Guatemala for many years. He's going to tell us the do's and don'ts for those who want to know what to do and what not to do. So that's what we're going to go, where we're going to go. And all the time, we're going to have a Q&A session. So feel free to participate and to engage. So on the bottom of your screen, on your Zoom screen, you're going to have a Q&A button. You can feel free to just type any questions that you may have, raise a hand, any remarks, or in the chat box, wherever it's more comfortable. With that being said, I just want to move forward quickly and to introduce Ms. Gabriela Rayos. She's the Director of the International Affairs of the Coordinating Committee of the Agriculture, Commercial, Industrial, and Financial Association of Guatemala, CACIF. And Ms. Rayos is an amazing person, is a valuable partner of the Chamber, and we're really happy to work with her. So Gabriela, please.
Thank you very much, Seb. Thank you very much. Well, good morning, everyone here in Guatemala, and good afternoon to all our friends in Israel. Thank you very much for this event. We are very grateful also to Seb and Rotten and everyone at FIC for this amazing opportunity to show our wonderful country. Without further ado, I think I can just go ahead with the presentation. As Seb said, we are the Coordinating Committee of Agricultural, Commercial, Industrial, and Financial Associations of Guatemala. It's CACIF for its acronym in Spanish. It's the organization that brings together private sector entities that we work together to build a better Guatemala, a better country. CACIF was established in 1959 and has consolidated itself as the most representative entity of the organized business sector in our country. And our main goal is to strengthen the Guatemalan economy. CACIF represents also the interests of approximately 20,000 small, medium, and large businesses of all sectors and regions of our country. The next, please, yes. Our members, we're very, as I said, we represent all the private sector, and our members are the Sugar Chamber, the Agro Chamber, the Construction Chamber, Industrial Chamber, Commerce Chamber, Financial Chamber, and Service and Commerce Chamber, and the Federation of Small and Medium Businesses, and Export, who is the Export Chamber, they are here today, and you are going to get to know them better. But they are pretty much our whole members that integrate CACIF. The next one, please. Thank you. The Office of International Affairs of CACIF advocates for free enterprise, competitive markets, the rules-based trade and investment as a path to creating economic opportunities and prosperity for our country. And our relationship, our international relations are based in 4 premises. The first is promote our country internationally, and that's the main goal today, and that's what we're doing today. Our second goal is to ensure that Guatemala and its productive sector are involved in the global economy and attract foreign investment. That's one of the main goals. To participate actively in international forums, trade fairs, and high-level government engagements. And number 4 is to contribute to strengthen international cooperation with our business partners and with the global community. We also take great pride in assisting the work of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Guatemalan government in this wonderful task, and to promote always our country as beautiful as it is. And last, we just want to let you know that we are here for you. We can always, you can always contact us. We are at your service. This is our contact information. I'm sure that they are going to share it to you, but we are at your service. This was very brief, but we are just here to help you. And if you ever have a question or you want to contact with us, we are here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gabriela. And you know, we work as organizations, as trade promotion organization, we work as a bridge for the business community. So, I mean, it's really good to get to know you and to understand that you have such a big outreach to the local business community in Guatemala. So through CACIF, you can actually get in touch with a lot of companies and business associations and business people. So that's a great channel. So we're going to move forward, and thank you again, Gabriela. We're going to move forward, and we're going to ask Ms. Manuela Rodriguez. She's the investment promotion advisor at Pronacom, to talk about the business opportunities for Israeli companies and how to do business in Guatemala. So there you go. Oh,
thank you very much.
That's nice. You did Hebrew there.
Yes, of course, we did.
I love it. That's nice.
Yeah, so let me start. Thank you very much for the invitation, Minister Brolo and Ambassador Cohen, and all the participants. Shalom, mashlomcha. It is a pleasure to start this beautiful morning talking about business opportunities, and specifically why Guatemala is a strategic investment destination for Israeli companies. To start, I would like to, could you please go to the next slide? Thank you very much. To start, I would like to invite you to travel with me virtually all the way to Guatemala and enjoy a lovely weather of 20 Celsius in Guatemala City, which is our capital and is the most developed metropolis in Central America. Here, there is good access to basic, secondary, and higher education, as well as prestigious international schools and 16 universities with high quality programs. We also have La Aurora International Airport, where many Israelis land as part of their thrilled hummus. And it's very important to mention that most of the business people here speak fluent English. With that introduction, let's go down to business and start with the presentation. In this slide, we provide you with information related to our economy. Our economy growth averages 3.8 interannually, and we have a GDP of $77.3 billion. I would like to highlight that Guatemala has the largest economy in Central America, and 4 out of 10 products in the region are made in Guatemala. Also, a fast fact, the national bird lends its name to the Guatemalan currency, which is quetzal. That is due to our ancestors, our Mayan ancestors. They used the quetzal feathers as money. So having said that, I would like to tell you that the exchange rate with the dollar has been very stable for many decades. And for $1, you will get 7.65 quetzales. And I also added the Israeli shekel for you to have an idea, which you will get 2.75 quetzales for 1 Israeli shekel. In the next slide, I would like to highlight that Guatemala is characterized by its macroeconomic stability. We are in the top 10 in Latin America and Caribbean in the macroeconomic stability pillar of the Global Competitiveness Index. We have a solid financial system with 47.71 billion of total assets. We have a moderate and stable inflation rate, which averages 4% in the last 12 years. We have almost $50 billion in foreign exchange reserves, which are the largest in Central America. We have the lowest government debt in the region as well, and one of the lowest in Latin America. And we have the highest household final consumption with an average of almost $70 billion in the region. In the next slide, I would like to show you another reason why Guatemala is a very strategic location to do business in. Here we have a map of our logistic platform that offers us, if we can go to the next slide, please. We have a logistic platform with direct access to the coastlines, both on the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. There is just 400 kilometers between both coastlines, approximately. We have the second largest sea freight operations in Central America after Panama. And we have 2 ports in the Atlantic coast and 1 port in the Pacific coast. Very important to mention also, we have the largest installed capacity for energy production and the most competitive price of energy as well. In the next slide, we can see here our air connectivity. Could we please press the next click so that we can, thank you very much. Our air connectivity, we have 2 international airports. One, as I mentioned, in the capital city. The other one is in the northern part of the country where the Mayan jungle and the Mayan pyramids are, which I'm sure you have heard of. We have 9 local aerodromes, 22 commercial airlines coming in. Well, not at the moment, of course, because of the situation, but we used to have this, and very soon we'll have, and 11 cargo airlines as well. Here I put a small video of the public investment that is being carried on in the Pacific coast, where an air cargo airport is being built in order to reinforce this strategic position, because we have a very easy access to our port in the Pacific, and there's a lot of potential in that area because we have a lot of energy capacity installed, and it's a great place to do manufacturing, for example. So this project is being carried out, as I mentioned, by the government, and it will start this year. Hopefully, we will also see different economic zones developed around the area in order to foster local development in this area as part of our national competitiveness policy. Next, please. Thank you very much. Also, I wanted to share with you about our human talent. We have a working age population of around 9 million people. 28 of this population is between 15 and 24 years old, and the rest of it is 20 years or older. Also, a major win that showcases Guatemala's foreign direct investment capabilities in terms of talent is our that we were recognized as major city best for cost effectiveness in the FDI American Cities of the Future ranking, which is a ranking made by Financial Times. That happened last year. And with this, we can see that we are first place on annual average salary for unskilled worker and 4th place on average annual salary for semi-skilled and skilled workers as well. Thank you. Now, very important to mention, here we have a slide that talks about why Guatemala is also ideal for companies that are trying to nearshore their operations. With all this, going on and COVID highlighting that the supply chains are indeed vulnerable, I am happy to share that Guatemala has been reinforcing its position as a strategic nearshore destination. This has made us reinvent ourselves as a country and definitely as public institutions. And we are working more tightly than ever. One example that I can give you very quickly is the collaboration between the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Economy to attract foreign direct investment. 2 weeks ago, we brought a Central American investor to Guatemala, and he's going to start his operations very soon, probably a month from now. And this is an example that Guatemala government is a pro-investment administration. Thank you. Also, we have a key access to main markets. We are very close and have a free trade agreement with the United States, which is the largest market in the world. We are also a gateway to the largest Hispanic American market, which is Mexico. And not only that, but we are very close to southern Mexican states with a population that averages at 20 million people. So together with Central America and Mexico, we have a market of more than 60 million people, which makes Guatemala a little bit more interesting. We also are developing a customs union between Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador that is making trade very agile as well. And we also have access to the European market through our European Union Central American Association agreement. I will also like to share with you about our investment incentives. First and foremost, we guarantee through our Foreign Investment Act the same treatment for foreign companies and local companies. We also have an act that allows companies to do business in the currency that they find most suitable. In addition, we have special economic zones in which companies have tax and logistics benefits to companies with industrial, commerce, and service activities. In fact, the image in this particular slide is Santo Tomás de Castilla Free Trade and Industry Zone, which is located in the Pacific coast of Guatemala. This is a successful case that led to the creation of more special economic zones. Various of them are being developed in the Pacific zone that I mentioned previously. And we also offer benefits to renewable energy projects, companies in the apparel and textile, ITC, and BPO sectors, among others. In this slide, we can see the foreign direct investment participation at the moment in Guatemala. As we all see, the United States of America, it's our main trade partner at the moment, but we have interesting partners such as Colombia, Mexico, Central America, and the Dominican Republic, of course. And we expect, and we really hope that we see a big spot for Israel here in years to come. Now, here we see the trade and investment agreements. And as I was saying, Guatemala's strategic position and connectivity enhance its viability as an export platform, witnessed by its 12 trade agreements and 19 bilateral investment treaties with partners from North America, Latin America, and the Caribbean, Europe, and Asia. In 2019, Guatemala and Israel agreed to have a bilateral investment promotion and protection agreement. We see it in the star. And as the Minister Brolo and the Ambassador Cohen mentioned, a trade agreement is currently being negotiated. The objective, of course, is to establish preferential conditions to the exchange of our merchandises and services. And this agreement, we are sure, will have a positive effect on the trade on both sides. Here we have a map of where our exports go to. We have more than 4,000 products going to more than 188 markets. We see that, as it was previously mentioned, we have a big opportunity to increase trade between Israel, and we located here, we have a 0.14% of Guatemalan exports go to Israel, which I'm sure we can do much better in that sense. In the next slide, we have Guatemalan's top exports. We are first place in cardamom and snow peas exports. To the US, we are #1 in bananas, plantains, and melons. We are 2nd place in papayas, watermelons, and to the US, 5th, also the 3rd main exporters of coffee in Latin America, and 8th place in the world. And I really hope that you all enjoy, as the Minister Brolo was doing, of a very nice cup of Guatemalan coffee. Other soaring opportunities, investment opportunities, are in light manufacturing, apparel and textiles, the agro industry, which Israel is very characteristic, infrastructure and renewable energy. And by infrastructure, we also mean water and waste management, that we know that Israel companies are top on this. ICT, software and contact centers, which we also know that the Silicon Valley in Israel is Beersheba, for example, so we welcome those companies as well. And tourism and well-being services. How are we going to develop our country and our strategy to attract foreign direct investment? Well, that is very closely related to our national competitiveness policy, which is based on 3 pillars, 11 clusters, in which we have studied and identified that Guatemala has a lot of potential in, 11 priorities to strengthen Guatemala government and more, like reduce procedures in order to make business easier, and 9 territories, which we are starting with the Pacific Coast right now, of course, and all this, of course, will end up in a more competitive Guatemala. In the next slide, we have the clusters that I was just mentioning, which are the ones that we find that we have more potential, but they're not exclusive, for example. So energy companies renewable energy companies are very welcome as well. There's a huge potential in Guatemala due to our natural resources, due to our more than 30 volcanoes. And we're starting, as I mentioned, in the point that says 8, which is the San Jose port city, where all these projects with the airport is being developed as well. And we hope to create a model of development that we can share along Guatemala. Now here, we get to the point in who is PRONACOM. And PRONACOM is part of the Ministry of Economy, and we are the investment promotion agency, and we like you to see us as your investment facilitator. We are a highly experienced team that have public and private networks of partners that are built to personalize the attention that you all require in order to establish your company in Guatemala successfully. The services that we can provide free of charge include information and statistics tailor-made for your company, the linkage with the professional service providers for the private and public sectors who can help you with legal, financial, recruitment, training, real estate, among other requirements, advice on administrative processes to ensure a smooth transition to Guatemala. And I will take some time to highlight that there are various services providers in Guatemala, but we highly recommend that you start with us. And we know all the processes here in Guatemala. We have different contacts that are verified, that we have worked with other potential investors. So it's very important that you reach us first and then start building a network, a very reputable network. Also, we can facilitate and accompany you to familiarization visits to Guatemala, such as the organization of business agendas with key stakeholders, at the moment virtually, but of course we can welcome you in Guatemala as soon as the borders are open. We help in the relocation of expatriates, in the search and introductions to potential local partners. Many businesses don't want to come in alone and they want a local partner with experience. Well, we also have that network to offer you. Support to improve the competitiveness of those companies already here. So here we are talking about aftercare services. Once you're established in Guatemala, we make sure that you are happy and you're satisfied with your company's development. And we also support, and very gladly, expansion processes of those companies that trust Guatemala in order to grow. And for all of these, we make sure to assign a prepared and professional account manager for your particular investment project. How to do business in Guatemala? Well, this is a very, like a glimpse of how to do business. There are different corporate structures. We have limited liability company, which is the most popular in Guatemala. A foreign company, which is a branch of a parent company, and the acquisition of an existing company, where you can buy stocks as well. The processes, well, the process, we are now doing it, as I said, we are reinventing ourselves. We have now been doing it online, everything virtually, through different legal representatives here in Guatemala. And we have a one-stop shop, which is called minegocio.gt, which means my business. And here in the website, you are able to register your company pretty easily. And it takes around 9 to 21 days in order to open it. And the costs are around $475 to $655. You, as a foreigner, you can be the legal representative of the company for 3 years, and this could be, you can update it every 3 years. Also, we have in Guatemala, we pay value-added tax of 12%. Of course, if you are located in a special economic zone, then you will be, you won't have to worry much about this. Our income tax average is between 5 or 7%. As I mentioned, the cost of opening a business is around $655, and we have a very the capital to open a business is very low. Is 200 quetzales, which is like 100 Israeli shekels, and there's only required a visit in order to get your VRP data. And pretty much you can start running. So after this, and in a nutshell, I would like to end up by making a really fast review of the why Guatemala is an investment location that is strategic for Israeli companies. First, our macroeconomic stability. We also talked about our logistic platform that we have to offer, that is backed up by our free trade agreements and investment agreements. We have a favorable investment and business environment, a very competitive gateway to the US, to Mexico, to Central America, with a market of more than 60 million people. Our city is a very beautiful city. It's a very developed and sophisticated, and we were awarded, as I mentioned, as major city best for cost effectiveness. We have the largest population bonus in the region. We're a very young population as well, aiming to have more work and development. And we are a strategic hub also to Central American markets. The Central American Customs Union is also facilitating trade. And last but never least, we have a strong friendship between Israel and Guatemala, and we are very familiar with the culture. We welcome Israel in Guatemala. So these are some of the reasons, and if you would like further more information about anything that I just mentioned, because I hope that I'm on time still, well, we're really happy to hear from you. Here you can find our contacts. Please feel free to keep in touch and have a very beautiful day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Manuel. This was great. And thank you very much for the recap. I love it. In the end, there was just a very, very quickly before we continue, there was first of all the question if we can share this presentation. I assume it's a yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
please.
So for all of you who is listening, we'll definitely share the presentation. Plus, we're gonna add the contact details of the speakers here, so you can actually contact them and have valuable contacts after this session. And another one there was, and if you can just be very briefly about it, because we want to continue. There was a question here. Can you elaborate on the soaring investments? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, by the soaring investment opportunities, so as I mentioned, we are opening up to foreign investors in strategic sectors that we know that Guatemala has a lot of potential in. We are building, we're getting ready with different economic zones in which companies in the sectors that I mentioned, light manufacturing, for example, is very important in Guatemala. Actually, as you might have seen, our FDI structure, the biggest bunch of activities is manufacturing. So we want to push that further by attracting companies in different sectors. Food and beverages, for example, is a sector that has a lot of potential in Guatemala, to mention one. Medical devices as well, pharmaceuticals, also mostly in this time that is so crucial to have to have some devices specifically for the pandemia. Apparel and textile, for example, we are developing. Guatemala is already its main export is apparel and textile in terms of currency, but we have a lot of opportunity in this sector. We have a lot of companies that are very happy, and we are welcoming some more, trying to see more opportunities in this sector, and there's space to do that, mostly now that we're building some platforms in the economic zones. Also, renewable energy and infrastructure. We have a lot of natural resources, and although most of our energy comes out of natural resources, we want to strengthen that more because we have volcanoes and we have abundant water, so we want to foster that as well. And we know that there are companies already doing that, but we can exploit even more our potential in that sector. Tourism and well-being. Well, Guatemala, it's a beautiful destination to come and visit. Unfortunately, for all this situation, we had not been able to develop that sector that much, but hotels chains have been visiting us, looking for opportunities, not only in the city, but also in the countryside, because we have very beautiful landscapes that I welcome you all to visit one day, very, very soon. So these are some of the opportunities. Oh, of course, the management of water and waste is very important. And, this could also be for companies, for different municipalities. And we are divided into different municipalities, 354. So all of these different opportunities might represent a good chance for Israeli companies to come bring us their technology and expand in our country, export to our main trade partners as well.
Yeah. For sure, these are, by the way, all areas where Israel has a very cutting edge and very advanced technologies, and this is very good that we get to know you in Proconom, because it's really a source of information, of understanding where are the highlights, where the governments are putting more emphasis in which sectors and which projects and stuff like that, and that's something we want to make it more accessible to companies to identify the tenders and the abilities. Manuela, again, I thank you very much for this very insightful presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll stay in touch, and we continue very actively forward. And now I would like to invite Mr. Gabriel Bigoria. He's the member of the board of directors of Guatemalan Export Association. It's Agrisport, as well as an entrepreneur in the aquaculture industry and the owner of Maya. So Gabriel, thank you very much for being with us, and please take it away.
Thank you, Steve, and good evening. It is a real pleasure to be here with everyone today, and really appreciate the strong participation from all our business friends in Israel. As Zev said, I'm a member of the board of Export, which is the Exporters Association. And just to tell you a little bit about Export, it was established in 1982. The vision of Export is to make of Guatemala an exporting country. And it has had a very strong influence in helping to diversify the base of exports and the participation in the economy as well behind those exports within the country since its inception. Guatemala traditionally, a long time ago, was dominated by around 5 products that dominated our exports. They constitute about 75% of our exports. These were, cotton, coffee, sugar, and so forth. Now, we are very well diversified, and 75% of our exports come from non-traditional products and services. Just to share, I'm a huge fan of Israel. I've been several times. I participated in the DoD Innovation Conference in Tel Aviv, and I have had many great ties with different friends and business people. So we see huge opportunities for our pursuit of stronger relationships. Having said that, very quickly here, we have a snapshot here of what's our trade situation today. Very quickly here, we can see our exports to Israel in 2019 were 16.1 million. They had grown 21.8% from a previous year, which is encouraging. But what we see here is still a trend where we have a trade imbalance. It's been it's slowly getting reduced, but still we import way more from Israel than we export. And that's one of the opportunities as well to have a FTA, a free trade agreement. And a little bit of what you're seeing today, our team members in Guatemala are doing a great job, I think, promoting some of the great characteristics of our country. And also, we'll talk a little more about our products and services that we have to offer. Can we go to the next slide, please? Here, it just shows how we were doing in 2020 until recent events that are keeping us now working via Zoom. But up to April, we had exported $7.6 million in value of products and services, which is 60% of what we did in 2019. So it's an encouraging trend, and some of the biggest representations behind those numbers are cardamom, as it was mentioned. Guatemala is the largest producer in the world of cardamom. We have here we have green coffee, seeds, jellies, candies, frozen cantaloupe, a number of vegetables and fruits, and so forth. Here is a list of our main exports from Guatemala to Israel. This is 2019. And what we can see here is it seems diversified, but if we take into account cardamom represents 71% of our exports to Israel, there's a lot of opportunity for diversification. We have obviously here a representation of some of our great nuts, fruits, vegetables, obviously coffee, and some more added value products, manufactured products and so forth. But the opportunities, to continue increasing in the value chain, to be able to interact more with more value-added products, is a huge opportunity. I think that could benefit both countries. Next slide. Main products imported by Guatemala. Here we see that, the main product that we're importing is aluminum and aluminum-based products, herbicides. It's interesting because when we compare our exports versus our imports, obviously here we see the great job that Israel has done, in providing value add for your raw materials, you know, and for your industries, and how we as a country, you know, have benefited from those imports that take into account more of your human capital. So, you know, that's definitely something to recognize that Israel is doing very well, and obviously we are benefiting here from it. But as I mentioned, you know, definitely opportunities are huge to continue increasing our trade. And this info we'll make available for you. You know, it's hard to read here as well, I realize from Zoom, but all this is, you know, general statistics that we'll be happy to share with other participants. Next slide. And more importantly then, today, the spirit, you know, what we're trying to promote is, one, the importance of a free trade agreement between our countries. Guatemala is a country that believes, you know, heavily, you know, in relationships. We believe in strong relationships, clear rules for trade, and we believe in the importance of market diversification and opportunities to move up in the value chain. And to that respect, that's why we're extremely interested in pursuing, you know, this next step, which is very important with Israel, to be able to solidify our ties, not only our great relationships that we have been developing for so long, but our business relationships, our trade relationships, you know, with clear rules, opportunities that will allow for smoother trade, exchange of products and services. As it was mentioned, you know, already, you know, Guatemala has some unique characteristics that have been mentioned. I always like to emphasize, you know, we are a country with 37 volcanoes, 3 of them active. And so we have a unique composition of land. Our land is really different, you know, and it has unique characteristics. And that's why our coffee is, you know, is so good and so well appreciated. Our rum. On my side, you know, we're in aquaculture, and we actually are one of the most advanced aquaculture models in Latin America. But we produce shrimp, and our shrimp is naturally darker and it has a sweeter taste. And this is very much coveted by our Japanese customers, French, and so forth. You know, and so definitely our products, our vegetables, our fruits, you know, have been blessed, you know, with unique characteristics that we know we're proud of, and it's something that we're happy to promote. As well, it was mentioned already, the diversification of our economy now and our exports, you know, are definitely moving more and more each day towards the value add side. Already here we saw, you know, where our largest export is textile manufacturing and processing, as well as light manufacturing, contact center, and BPO. And here, you know, obviously there's a lot that we have been able to leverage from the knowledge of Israel. And so the opportunities, not only for trade, but also for mutual investment, transfer of knowledge, and expansion of our industries, you know, it's enormous, and it's something we're very excited about. So, having said that, I want to extend myself much more so that we'll have a good opportunity for questions and answers. And with that, we're always also open. Our contact info will be shared and continue in touch. And with that, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Gabriel, for this, and I'm sure we're gonna hear from you later, because we want you also to stay for the Q&A session where we're starting to get some more questions in here. And just before we go into we're going into Yossi, and then we're gonna open up, and I have a few, I have more than a few of remarks and comments on the Q&A and the chat button. I just want to say that what we had here so far is we got to know some organizations within Guatemala that can offer assistance to Israeli companies who wants to work in Guatemala, and to kind of explore the lay of the land, how things are working, and, you know, create a better ecosystem for them and network. So both Gabriel, Manuela, and Gabriela can definitely assist. And of course, our embassy, Mati and his team can definitely assist in doing all of that. And I want to move forward to Yossi, and then we're gonna conclude. Yossi is gonna be very brief, and then we're gonna conclude, and then we're gonna have open for Q&A. But just before I introduce Yossi, I just have to say that it's very good for us to have an Israeli on Israeli is half Guatemalan already, I think, on our team here. Kind of like talking to Israelis as an Israeli, kind of sharing his experience and his, you know, in a very brief time. So I'm just going to introduce Yossi. Yossi Abadi, Advocate Yossi Abadi, is the CEO of Tenalot Group. It's a privately owned company that operates lotteries on behalf of the government in Africa and Latin America. He's been working in Guatemala for the past 3 years. He invested over $20 million. The company owns building offices and employing more than 150 local workers. He has present in more than 20 countries. He did a lot, and I'm not going to go over all the list, Yossi, so you're going to excuse me. But Yossi, maybe you can share with us some insights about Guatemala and how
yes. Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. And special greetings to our friends from Guatemala, and especially to Minister Pedro Brolo, our dear friend Ambassador Matania Cohen, our dear friend Marco Solares. It's a real pleasure to be able to talk to you about, let's say, the potential that Guatemala represents when it comes to business opportunities. My name is Yossi Abadi. I'm the CEO of Tenalot Group. We have been in Guatemala for about 3 years. I think I can speak from an experience perspective about the great advantages of working in the country. As part of private investment, my company consolidated the Guatemala National Lottery. We invested more than $20 million private investment in the country. We currently have large offices in the capital city and about 2 more in other regions. We have about 150 local employees, and since we arrived to the country, we've invested heavily in social projects and donation to humanitarian projects, which go along with our strategy of social development. So Guatemala is perhaps, after the United States, the most friendly country to Israel. The fact that we come from Israel not only opens the hearts of the people, but also the doors for the investment. They're friendly, intelligent, hardworking people. At the Congress, for example, there are 60 congressmen that belong to the Friendship League with Israel. It's incredible, but it is estimated that there are more than 40,000 evangelical churches in the country, and each of them is a place of admiration for Israel. So the political sector is extremely open to Israel initiatives. There is really a special link with the Holy Land. The private sector is very interested in technologies and innovation, and it's exporting high quality products. The president and his cabinet, to whom we have great admiration and affection, are always interested in evaluating alliances to promote the development of the country, and Israel can offer solutions in almost all aspects. So the first thing I recommend you to do is to get in touch with someone that already spoke today, with Ambassador Cohen. So he's a person that always supports initiatives with the best acceptance on the political and private level. He's an active and supportive ambassador. So I think that it's a good key to start with. So now, there are naturally many cultural differences, but long before that, there is the distance and the time zone difference. You can ask my wife. When I have to travel, and I've been there more than 20 times in the country for the past year and a half, it's for a minimum of 1 week, including flights. And when my wife wants to see some movie because it's 9 or 10 p.m., I'm on calls with my local team, so due to the time zone difference. So you need to get used to it. But as they say, vale la pena. It is an excellent investment destination. There is stability. And you know something, as a businessman, you know, traveling to place with a good infrastructure is not less important than other things. You know, Guatemala has a fantastic hotels and even better, super good restaurants. So to start, you need a local partner. You know, the Israeli generally wants others to adjust to our own style. It's a mistake. If you want to earn money and to have successful business implementation, well, stick to the rules and style of the country you are in. respect your environment, adapt to the tradition. And yes, you need someone local, not only to serve as a bridge of culture, but to keep track of things. You know, the rhythm of Latin America is different from what is in Israel. Sometimes pushing too hard can cause harm. You need people who will be your operating arm, a local partner or senior executives employee that can track your projects. Secondly, you need a good lawyer, you know, bilingual, someone to solve you all relevant aspects. It's a very formalistic country and everything must be in order. That's the key, you know, many things require records, notarized deeds, legal signatures. You know, presenting a tender or documents to a ministry will be rejected for a minimal fault. It happened to me many times, and when it happened, well, it means time, and time is money. As far as presentation, a tip I can give you, you know, in Guatemala, we speak Spanish. So many Israeli companies send materials in English, perhaps because it's too expensive to translate it in Israel, even more so when it comes to long documents. But what comes in English, stay in English. Believe me, it does not move on. You want to move forward, invest in translation. Translate your website, your brochure, your letters and proposal. That is crucial. Taxation consulting. I was surprised. I mean, it turns out that you negotiate a salary with your executive and employees, and I have 150 employees, but soon you discover that by law, you need to give them 2 extra full salaries a year, you know, an additional salary. Twice a year, not as a bonus. It's an obligation. In Israel, it doesn't exist. It was a surprise for us. So you must have that in your planning. You know, likewise, as an employer, you pay almost 13% on the agreed amount for the insurance, matter, and benefit on top of it. I discovered, after having already started and defined a business plan, that in the 3rd year of commercial operation, there is a special tax, additional one. They call it solidarity tax. It's 1% of total sales from previous year. So it's important that you have all of that in mind and very, very well planned. The VAT, as mentioned, is 12%. Banks are very good. Some of them have online banking, so you can, of course, seal transactions online and have better supervisions. Now, Israeli normally get to the point, you know, as we say, tachlis, no foreplay. But in Guatemala, as in all Latin America, you know, people do business with friends. Before taking business, you must cultivate a relationship, invest in it. So many businesses and doors are opened out of trust. We have cultivated great relationships in all sectors. Guatemalans are also exceptional people, you know, really funny and honest. The dollar is relatively stable. It's very important as an investor. The population is young, very active. There are a high level of professional employees who speak English at a medium and high level. Guatemala is a large economy in the region, you know, a platform for many opportunities. I know that many Israeli companies want to sell. You know, we are here to take risk, to invest. We did it big, but anyone who wants to sell, if handled well, you know, with patience and intelligence, you will succeed in Guatemala. My company is active in more than 20 countries, especially in Africa, Latin America, Eastern Europe. The place where I most like to travel, honestly, is Guatemala. I think that there is something that makes you feel like home. And I invite you all, you know, to try this magical investment destination. And of course, if I can be of any help, we are here when it's needed. Thank you very much for your time.
Wow, Yossi, thank you very much. I think you did a great, you should join the Guatemala Foreign Ministry, I think, as an ambassador. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, Yossi, for your words and for your tips. And we'll share your contact information. So if anyone would like to, you know, get your, you know, pick your brain or anything. So I hope that's okay.
With a pleasure.
Great. So we came to an end, and we have a few questions, and we want to do some Q&A, and we want to do some, you know, some recap of some of the things that we have done here. And we heard some interesting stuff. We get to know some cool people. So I'm just going to say first thing first. So about a few questions. We can't share the participant list, but we can share the contact details of the panelists and the speakers and all the organizations, as well as their presentations. That's for that. We had a few remarks by people here wanted to know about whether they can do machineries and stuff like that, but Manuela is very, very quick and efficient, so she's on it already. And there was a question about from one of the leading irrigation systems from Israel, is very well known about irrigation. It's about how the government is looking to support small farmers in using Israeli drip irrigation. So I'll let people answer that if they want. I'm just gonna go over the questions, but also I'll definitely encourage you, Amnon, to contact our embassy and the people here and to kind of outreach to them, and I'm sure that they will be able to help you. I wanted to ask one question before we continue, and that is, how does, first of all, how does the economy performing at the moment with the COVID-19? I think that's a very question. I'll open it for anyone who would want to answer. And I think the follow-up question that I got here is how can Israeli companies enjoy the benefit of Guatemala-USA free trade agreement, if anything? So both questions, if possible. And feel free to answer whoever wants from the panelists.
Sav, if you allow me, I can just elaborate. Yes, thank you. On the first question, as you already said, we know that the government has a lot of incentives for this kind of technology, and it's just that we have just to make this link. So if, as you said, if this businessman would like to get more information about it, you can contact the embassy, you can contact me, and we can right away put you in contact, and we can share all this information. And but what there is a lot of aids and incentives for technology in agriculture. So definitely we can just get in touch, and we can elaborate on the matter.
So
yeah,
we'll put you in touch with the irrigation company as well.
Great.
And there's and before we get to the free trade agreement as well, there's another question by Alberto here, who was asking about official budgets. I got message from some of my friends in Guatemala that budgets are frozen and there are no public purchases, probably due to political reasons during the pandemic situations. Can any of the official delegates from Guatemala comment on that?
Well, thank you very much for the messages. I would like to add on the previous question. First, I would like to mention that it also depends on the product, and we as Ministry of Economy, well, we have all the long list of benefits that we have due to the trade agreement with the US. So we were very happy to hear about your harmonized code as well, in order to double check, because that's the only way that we can be very sure which are the benefits. So if you would like us to look at that, we can do it very, very gladly. And also, in particular, in the budget question, the budget of Guatemala is now focused in managing the pandemic. Of course, the sanitary issues are very strong at the moment, so we are trying to focus on that. Having said that, there have been some restrictions to our budgets, not in every aspect. So we will have to make sure what type of product or what type of merchandise is trying to bring to Guatemala. That will be really helpful for us to double check if perhaps he's talking about something that has to do with the pandemic, or if it's another thing. But yeah, he can reach us. We can.
But a follow-up question to that is, someone is asking, how can they get exposed to a new private public projects and tenders?
How can they, sorry?
Get exposure to new private public projects and tenders.
Okay, so at the moment we have public and project PPPs that are not yet ready to invest. That means that we are doing the pre-factibility and factibility studies Once these studies are done, then the tender will be open for companies, and we will make that. They will hear us. Trust me, that we'll make noise when that happens. But at the moment, our PPPs are in a previous stage, let's say, of studies.
Gotcha.
I would like just to complement the question with what's happening to our economy, and at least from the export side, we have not had yet a reduction, which is interesting. You know, in our value of exports to the world, we have reduced the volume, but not the value. So, you know, it shows that at least the flow of our exports, you know, still leveraging more added value products, at least as to June, which is the latest trade data that we had. In terms of just to complement what benefits there could be for Israeli companies looking to leverage maybe the U.S. market from Guatemala. Obviously, in addition to the obvious, the proximity, we do have, you know, free trade zones and, you know, and legislation that's being pushed right now to make them even more attractive. So that's something to keep an eye on that's coming.
Gabriel, if you're already here, let me just ask you a follow-up question. There was a few questions about, we're talking about exports and your industry's capability. So there was a few questions here, about machinery. Is there an industry that manufacture machinery and stuff like that? And there was another question here I think it was about household products, manufacturers of household products and stuff like that. Is it?
Absolutely, no, great questions. And yes, you know, we'll be very happy to share specific, you know, info, you know, on depending on what the needs are and requirements. But yes, you know, as we had mentioned, we believe similar to what Israel has been doing for so long on the importance of technifying our industry. So we've been investing heavily, either through our own investment or through joint ventures that we've been pursuing, you know, on the technification of our industry. So there's definitely more, especially light manufacturing, that we have been increasing, you know, our presence and participation and our relevance with, and also manufactured products for the home and so forth. So it will be a great pleasure to follow up on those interests.
Okay, great. And Yossi, are you here? Yossi, you with us? Still here?
Yes.
Let me just ask you a question, maybe one of our last questions. So, I mean, you've been here, you know the Israeli mentality, you know the Israeli capabilities in different industries, in high tech or in agribusiness, clean energy, whatever it is, HLS. What do you think? I mean, you're there quite some time. What do you think are the opportunities? In what sectors are the opportunities that you would say, if I'm in this industry, I would come to Guatemala?
Look, I think that there are different industries that are relevant right now for the Guatemalan industry. First of all, the agricultural side is of course very important. There is great potential of integration of Israeli technologies, as well goes to the medical technologies that might find a good infrastructure both in the private sector and in the public one. I think that a lot of manufacturers that want to be benefited from taxation incentives in the free trade zone and the closeness that you have to the Caribbeans and to United States might have also a great advantage. I think, as mentioned in my presentation, that Israel can offer so many things in so many areas. So it's basically, you know, having the first step in order to get to know the country, the people, you know, and analyze your opportunity.
But Yossi, let me just put you on the spot here. Another follow-up question. I mean, so you know, Israelis, they have the solutions and the abilities and the technologies, but they're not necessarily willing to put like $20 million like you just did. I mean, they're looking for a buyer. They're looking for someone to put the money. So it's either the government or I don't know, local government, or it's either like a local partner or a company that would willing to pay for that solution. Is there money in the market for that?
Oh, of course. I mean, we we came as private investment, but as I realize and understand very well, most of the Israeli companies are interested in, you know, to bring their technologies. That's what we do in Israel, startup nation, and there is great space for that. As mentioned, it's very difficult to move forward unless you have someone inside, you know. And that's, firstly, you know, the tip I gave about English and Spanish, it's very important. We serve also sometimes as a bridge of companies that contact us and want us to serve, you know, as a bridge for different opportunities, presentations, and most of their information are in English. It's very, very difficult because it requires either them or the local team to do that, and it's very difficult. So I think that the first stage is to decide that Guatemala, you know, is a great destination, and I think that I can testify for that. And to put together all the data, to find, you know, a local partner, we can of course help. We are not going to be involved in the 1 million different businesses, but we can definitely serve as a bridge to introduce the relevant people in the different sectors and see, you know, how we can help. It's a process. You are totally right. You know, the most difficult thing is to identify the key point and the right channel in order to move forward.
Right. Well, it's an interesting conversation. We don't have that much time to go about it, but we're happy that we have so many you know, qualified people today with the panelists. And my next question to you, Yossi, would be to give me tip me what would be the lottery numbers, but I'm going to ask you that afterwards privately. But thank you, Yossi.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not the first to ask you that. But thank you, Yossi. Thank you, everybody. I just want to say before we conclude that, you know, one of the things we want to do here is not only, you know, showing the Israeli capabilities in Guatemala, but also to bring more products from Guatemala to Israel. I mean, we just learned about the shrimps, and Gabriel, I'm just gonna, you're gonna send me an email about it. I'm gonna put you in touch with some shrimps importers here in Israel, and we want to see more Israeli importers also. You know, getting if it's food stuff or other stuff that you can bring from Guatemala. So we want to see more of those as well. So we at the chamber, we're going to promote that, and we're going to, you know, together with CACIF and all the other agencies in Guatemala, want to increase more business opportunities from Guatemala to Israel, and that's going to be our next step. And with that, I will conclude, and I will thank everybody.
Zev.
Sure. Yep.
I just want to say that thank you all, of course. I just want to say that the embassy, the Israeli embassy in Guatemala, is here to serve all of you, all of the Israeli businessmen. We have an economic department with an economic officer, Judith de Menendez, and I'm sure you will put her or give her a number and email after that. So please use us. We are here to help you. Thank you all.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you. And there's a great embassy, so you have to take advantage of that. So I'm going to thank everybody here. And just last but not least, Rotem, can you show your picture 1 second? Can you open up the camera? So Rotem, are you here with us?
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Here you go. Here, Rotem. Rotem was behind the stage all along, and I want to thank you. For everything, for all your efforts, and your great work in promoting and doing this webinar. And Rotem is the head of our Latin America desk, which is working with Guatemala now more than ever, but not only, but also with other countries in Latin America. So if you want anything, need anything, Rotem will send an email to all the participants here with the contact details, with the presentations, with this webinar, with the recording of this webinar, with everything that needed. So you can contact Rotem, and she can put you in touch with other people, or you can just contact people directly, whatever it is. Feel free. And we wish you good luck. We wish all the participants good luck, and hopefully this benefited you and help you, to do business. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you after the Corona in Guatemala.
Of course, we will. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a great night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.